Girl,
Changing it up.
I love it. So there was a lot of people that weren't here yesterday or the day before or whenever we talked.
Mhm.
So I want to do a little just, backing up, and we'll go into like childhood and parents and stuff like that, which we didn't get to. But then at the end, because this is what I really wanted to talk about with you, was about relationships and how that can
Mhm.
change and be different and how that works between each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell them what dose you're on, how long you've been on it, how much you've lost, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I started February 21st of last year, 2025. Was on it for a year, started at 2.5. Every 4 weeks, I increased. So 5 milligrams, 7.5. I'm currently, was on it until this February, stopped 15 milligrams. And within 2 to 3 weeks, all of my cravings came back. That food noise was fierce, but my company no longer covered it for obesity, even though the insurance would cover it, but we had a waiver. Um, they didn't cover it. My husband's company didn't cover it. And so we have 2 kids in college this fall. And my oldest, who's also in college, is getting married next year. So we just couldn't afford it. I mean, finances were tight. And I finally found a telehealth one that is working. I'm on 15 milligrams. I started it 2 weeks ago, and the weight is already coming off again. I did fluctuate when I stopped it 3 months ago. I started gaining little by little and went back on the WW and was still gaining and didn't understand why. I work out 6 days a week. I have a personal trainer. I've been doing that since September because, like you, AJ, I had gastric bypass in 2003, November of 2003, before I had children. I went from 357 to 203 and kept it off until I got pregnant. And with 2 pregnancies back to back, my body just kept gaining and went through a really bad divorce shortly after having my second child and compared myself to every single person.
Mhm.
And the weight came back on. And again, I got up to 325 pounds. Life events happened. Uh, I got remarried, was 255 when I got married. And yes, trizepatide is what I'm on, Angela. And my husband said, I've loved you at your heaviest. I will love you at your smallest. Um, when you're going through a lot of different changes hormonally with losing weight, when I started last February, I was scared because I didn't, I'm not a controlling person. So if my husband didn't want to lose weight, I was doing this for me this time, nobody else. I wanted to be active in my kids' life and do things. Last January, February of 25, I did not want to do anything. My energy level, I didn't want to people. And I'm a pretty outgoing person, even though I'm considered introverted. Um, but I really was a hermit.
Mhm.
And we moved from Omaha to Mississippi. We knew nobody here, and the weight just kept coming on. And I went to my doctor and I said, I just need something to light a fire. And she's like, all right, we got approved, started. And then at the end of the year, we got the letter that said we're no longer going to cover. And I was devastated. I was mad. I was angry. And then I finally just said, okay, I have 2 options. I can gain it back or I can continue to fight. And I continued to fight and then realized that this is just bigger than me. And I needed this because this is the only thing that has ever worked for me.
Mhm.
In 4th grade, I was on a program, with that food pyramid and the only one in my family that was overweight. Um, and I was always like the black sheep of the family. And this is something that has, oh my gosh, it's life changing. But you have to change with your partner, not against your partner. Because I see so many people that are changing against their partner and going out because AJ, you probably know this better than anyone. Once you start losing that weight, you're getting attention from everyone. A guy came up to me in the gym 2 weeks ago and said, I've seen you here. I have seen how hard you've worked. How much weight can I ask how much you've lost? And, thankfully I have my ring on my finger. I'm committed to my husband, but that beta Satan always tries to get in anywhere it can. And any little attention, if you're not used to it, it's easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into that because I have questions about that later. But let's go back to the beginnings of things, right? So because I was going to ask, do you have obese parents? Did you have obese siblings? Like you said, you were the only one that suffered with obesity, like the disease. Now we know it's a disease, but right? I mean,
100%. But in in the 70s, I just turned 51 on Saturday, so I know what it's like to be a 70s, 80s child with people just saying it's not a disease, and we really know that it is. I did not have obese parents growing up. As my dad hit his 60s, he became obese, had gastric bypass, and has gained it all back again.
And just to clarify, I'm not too political when it comes to like the right wording, but I think this is important. We aren't obese. That is not something that we are. We have obesity. And I want to make sure that we say that because we don't need that. We don't need to be called something that we aren't, right? We have this disease, right? We aren't this. I think that's important.
It is so important that you say that because I took notes after we talked on Monday that using words are so important. Mm-hmm. Have and being, along with like only. I've only lost 115 pounds. Are you kidding me? You've lost an adult, a young adult. You've lost, a high schooler. It's the words only and just kind of diminish what we're doing. 1 pound, when you show what the fat loss looks like, that's huge.
Yeah, I agree. So going back, so how did you feel as a young? Do you have any remembrance of like your thoughts about struggling as this young person with your family and them looking at you a certain way?
Yeah. So there's a story that is so vivid in my head. My mom invited a boy that I liked over. And he came over. His name was Jason. It's so crazy how you remember the details. It is deep inside. It is
ingrained when things like this, and this is not like, this is how this works. The brain, right? And how we remember things like this. It's hard. It's deep.
He came over. My mom was an amazing cook. She could make anything from scratch. And she had made a big dinner, and she would always make these homemade milkshakes. And oh my gosh, so good. And they were malts, so even better, like the malt powder. And she's like, Jason, would you like a malt? And she made the homemade whipped cream. She had the maraschino cherries. I mean, it was all out, like dairy chef in our house. And he's like, absolutely. And I said, I'll have one too. And she goes, no, you've met a boy. You cannot have this. And he never talked to me again. Never. And I was just humiliated.
Absolutely.
And going, you could have even at least given me a small one. Like,
Wait, can I interject here? You had a boy over because of why? You guys were just liking each other or just friends?
We were liking each other. We met on the playground. I was in 4th grade. He was in 5th grade. He was an older boy. And
she's making this, and you can't have one.
I can't.
And she says it out loud.
In front of the entire table. My brother, sister, my stepdad was there. And Jason just looked at me and he's like, I got to go home. And I never talked to him again. We were in the same class. Oh, Rebecca, I'm so sorry that happened. I mean, I feel it to my core right now, AJ.
Oh
Like,
God,
and
right?
this, so keep in mind, in fourth grade, you're 10 years old. This was 41 years ago. It is still ingrained. And so, like, it's hard.
Mm. So, did you have a conversation with your mom? I'm sure at 10 years old it's hard, right? You can't. You just feel mortified and hurt.
Yeah. So
And it's one of the, go ahead.
my story goes way deeper than, my mom had me when she was 14, married my dad at 14. Keep in mind, I grew up in very rural North Dakota, 15 miles from Canada.
Right.
And so families were marrying off their children to get them off the farm.
Yeah.
They had 7, 8, 10 kids. And my dad was older. He was 20. So, of course, Prince Charming comes and rescues her off of her feet at 14.
Hmm.
My story goes way beyond the scale. My mom had 4 kids by the time she was 20.
Mm.
3 of them from my dad. They got divorced because my mom had an affair with my dad's brother.
Mm.
And so all of this, my mom was just very consumed with herself. And she was a kid when she had me.
Yeah.
And she got into my relationship went to food. Her relationship went to men. Then her relationship after the divorce with my dad went to abuse. And she ended up dying at the age of 42. I was 25, still fighting the disease, right? Like in college, at the core, the biggest person on campus, I would just walk across campus and breathe so heavy. I was 250 plus pounds at the age of 18. And it was yo-yo. But the thing is, I was always active. I was always playing volleyball. I was always running track. But who wants to run when you hear the belly just clapping against your legs? Like, that's not fun. And so just a lot of shame in all of that. So once I started tirzepatide, I knew I had to get into intense therapy. And so I see a behavioral therapist. I see one who specializes in body dysmorphia. I mean, it's really important. The relationships that you have with how you grew up is so important.
Yeah. It shapes our brain, right? I'm not using the right words, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it really shapes your outcome of like how you think and act and stuff. It can be changed. It can be worked on, but so I'm so sorry for your loss. That is traumatic. I can't imagine. Knowing that how your mother's, how that, played out, and how it affects you and it affects your dynamic and relationships and all that. Crazy. So growing up in your teens and 20s and stuff, you said you had siblings or you don't?
I do. I have a sister and 2 brothers.
So how did that work? How did that dynamic work with you and your struggles?
My siblings were always thin, and my sister was prom queen. I was not prom queen. I focused on my studies. I had a 4.0 because that's what I could control.
Yeah.
And I studied, and my reward was always food. Always. If you do great on this, we're going to go out and celebrate. If you do great singing in the choir, we're going to stay for coffee and cookies. And I realized through therapy in the past 15 months that I didn't only use food as a reward, I used it as a punishment. So when I started the GLP, I was never hungry, and I would go 2 days without eating because I wasn't hungry. And so instead of using food as the reward, I was punishing my body for all of the years that I rewarded it with food. And just having that awareness, and for groups like you on this platform and others who talk about their story, I was so ashamed to even share my story before Monday. Monday is the first time I've ever shared my story I'd never gone live before, and I've been on this platform for a couple years, mainly for shopping because it's got cheap clothes, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to share that I'm sure some of you can relate. I started off with a size 9.5 shoe. I had to buy all new shoes. I'm now a 7.5 because my feet aren't puffy any longer. And my husband jokes, like, maybe you need an OF account because you can start making money on these feet. So, comic relief is also my therapy because I think we all need to laugh about some of the things. Otherwise, we're really going to cry.
Yeah. Everyone in the comments is saying, like, I get it. Like, thank you for sharing your story. Sometimes people on here, it's the first time they come up here with me for whatever reason. And I appreciate that. It's good for you, right? To kind of let it out.
Yeah.
And it's good for everyone. And people are relating. They're like, this is me. This is me. So it helps you to understand that you're not alone in some of these things and that they're not alone too.
100%.
And it's one of those things where really, truly our childhood affects us in the long run. And I love that you're saying I needed help along with, obviously tirzepatide, but therapy in some sort of way. It is so important.
My siblings would always joke, like, you're the mailman's child. I could have been. With everything that went through, I could have been. I might be my uncle's child. You just don't know. And I mean, that it is funny. Now I can laugh about it because I've went through all the healing. And it doesn't matter. I know who raised me. I've learned in the last 15 years that you really have to love yourself. And it's not an ego thing. It's not like going out and prancing around like, ooh, really loving yourself. And I realized 50 years I did not love myself. And how could my husband, who absolutely unconditionally loved me at my highest, how could he love me when I didn't love myself? And now, like, we went away. Our wedding anniversary is also on my birthday. And so we had a weekend away. My husband reminds me all the time, we do not have children any longer. We have young adults. We have done our job. We can go out now and enjoy ourselves. And just reconnecting has been absolutely amazing. And I'm loving myself more in this journey, which means I can now fully love him.
I love that. Let's go deep into this because, you've grew up seeing your parents a certain way and not quite understanding, but smart enough. Kids are smart. And that affects, how you are with relationships in your life, right? Yeah. So I don't know if you've had relationships before you were married with other people and how that went, but like, let's talk about that. And then let's get deep into your relationship with your husband and how that's been good or not great or how you've kind of had to work through that.
So first marriage was when I had just lost all like 157 pounds from gastric bypass. Met my first husband at my lowest. And I was 203, but I was fit. I was doing hot yoga every day. This is where the scale does not matter sometimes. I was a size 10. I'd never been a size 10 before. And so, like, we met, he immediately wanted to rip off my clothes, and I had never experienced that before. And so I was like, wow. He called to check on me that I made it home safely.
Love.
This is the one.
This is it. You're like, no, there's more. There's way more to that. Yeah.
Way more. And then I just kind of went with emotion. Like, he's given me attention. I'm not getting attention anywhere else. I'm committed. And marriage is work anyway. I can learn to fall in love with this person. Well, not the best character. We had a whirlwind romance. He proposed with an amazing ring. We got married, got pregnant right away. On our honeymoon, we were in Kauai. And I kid you not, we pull up to Poipukai Beach in the South Island, and his phone rings. He goes in to check into the resort. I'm not feeling well because I'm pregnant, and we had a Jeep rental, and it's bumpy on the island. And he goes in, and so I answer the phone. It was an Iowa area code, and they asked if Brad was there, and I said, no, he's checking into the resort. This is his wife. How can I help you? Well, this is the mother of his child. And so I kid you not, she is like, I am in the hospital. I just had his baby. And I'm like, well, we just got married last week. And so I'm like, oh. So I'm like, we are in Kauai for 13 days. This is the first hour we are there. So I call my parents back in Minnesota, my stepmom and my dad, and I'm like, well, you're never going to believe this. And they said, well, you have two options. Enjoy your honeymoon and pretend that nothing happened. This is the true fashion of sweeping things under the rug, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there are so many area rugs in my family that are just bumpy because there's so much dirt under them. And that's one thing with this whole journey that I'm like, I got rid of all the area rugs, literally, and swept, got rid of all that. I'm not sweeping anything under the rug. I'm going to talk to you about it. I haven't talked to my siblings in a year and a half because they haven't dealt with any of this. And I can't be around that because there's so much blame and shame in all of it. Mm-hmm. And I am not taking responsibility of something that happened when I was 5 or 10 years old and was supposed to be the parent of the relationship. Mm-hmm. I was the child. How many of us have been robbed of our childhood because of the generational trauma that just keeps happening? Mm-hmm. And some people might question, oh, is that really tirzepatide? Yep, that sure is. That helped me start the healing process.
Right. There's so much more to it, right? That part in our brain that helps us kind of just function. Okay, cliffhanger. We're all waiting. Sorry.
So we get back and we get into marital counseling. Like we had just finished premarital counseling.
Okay, hold on though. Hold on, Melissa. I can't be the only one. Sorry about this, but when he comes back into the car, how do you progress through the honeymoon?
So I just looked and he's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "You might want to call so-and-so." He's like, "Who?" He denied it. And I'm like, she described your pajama bottoms. You're the only one that has those pajama bottoms. They were custom made for you. You are the freaking president of the Vikings fan club. You have got to be kidding me. I know those are your Minnesota Vikings pajama pants. So I just said, okay, well, we'll deal with it when we get home then. And I spent I got more than one bedroom for the place that we stayed at. And because it was all that was available. Well, probably a godsend, honestly. So I slept in the room with the big, beautiful view of the water. And no, I wasn't going to steal this honeymoon from me. So I had it by myself. I took the Jeep. The Jeep was in my name. I gallivanted all around the island. If he wanted to partake, that was fine. But no, I was going to enjoy 13 days in paradise. So I did.
So what was his demeanor like the whole time?
Nothing happened. Let's go out to dinner. Okay, I need to eat. But we didn't talk. Nothing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I got up at 4:00, went in the water. So was that me probably sweeping it under the rug? Sure, because I didn't want to waste this paradise. And I can't wait to go back to Hawaii with my current husband. Like, I'm going to relive that how it should have been.
Mm.
But we eventually, so when we left the island 13 days later, I don't think we spoke at all on that plane ride. And that's you take 3 flights. You're going from Kauai to Honolulu, from Honolulu to LA to Minneapolis. You're talking half of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got home, unpacked, and I immediately called our pastor, told her everything that happened, and she got us into marriage counseling right away. And he even had the marriage counselor fooled and was like, I don't see anything wrong with this. Like, I don't. And I'm like, am I going crazy here? Like, no. Well, Mellisa, let's control what you can control. Okay. So, in true Christian fashion, I forgave him because he said he was not going to do it again. He finally did admit, because I was like, oh, I will go to Iowa and we will do a DNA test today. And he was like, no, I did, but it was when we were on the rocks. And I'm like, we were never on the rocks. You can tell yourself that story all you want. But then had our baby, and he was a pipe fitter. So he said, I want to travel all around the country so we can make more money and pay off all of our debt. We're going through, paying off our debt with Financial Peace University. So I was like, okay, sure. I didn't want to be around him anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was a pretty wealthy, quote unquote, single mom, because he would only come home once a month. Mm-hmm. Well, once a month came, I got pregnant with my youngest, and I wouldn't do any of this over because I have 2 amazing children. Right after I had my second, we got another phone call, this time from Williston, North Dakota, because that's where he was being a pipe fitter at. And she asked for him, and this is when we had a landline. Do you remember landlines?
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, who is calling on the landline? And hi, this is his girlfriend. I said, oh, this is his wife. Oh, I thought this was his mom's house. No, this is his wife. And you can literally hear 2 children crying in the background. Like, it was bedtime. It was 7:00. I know, right, Amy Jo? Seriously. And so this is like baby number 2. How many others there are? No clue. And then, so my son was born in April. June 5th, my stepmom was like, who doesn't believe in divorces, was like, it's time. We don't even know how many there are, and it's okay. So went through the whole divorce proceedings, and that was a struggle. Fast forward, I meet my current husband, and in 2013 want to move to Nebraska because that's where my husband's from. Mm-hmm. Well, the divorce proceedings say I can't leave Minnesota. So I have to contact, I call him biohazard, probably not the best phrase, but.
Hold on. Okay.
Exactly. So he said, well, what's in it for me if you move to Nebraska? I said, what do you mean what's in it for you? You have not seen your children for 3 years. You haven't talked to them in 3 years. I don't even know how many other children you have. The kids have siblings that we don't know about. Well, he kept trying to take me back to court to lower his child support payments. And the new girlfriend was with him. They had a child together. Well, fast forward, me and the girlfriend now are best friends because they have a child who is my children's sibling.
Right.
We go on family vacations together, and she's currently going through all the stuff that I went through, and she's remarried. However, I said, Megan, when you were in court, did you not think that the same thing was going to happen to you? And we're like twins, blonde hair, blue eyes, typical Minnesota girl. And she's like, I just didn't think it would happen to me. I said, well, same girl, same. Like, didn't think it would. I thought I'd be the one that could change him too. And so the kids, when they turned 18, both reached out to him. Keep in mind, they have not had any contact with him since they were little, like 2 and 3. So they were trying to have a relationship with him last year. I had been on tirzepatide for 5 months, so I had lost a little weight. Immediately they knew. They're like, I can see why you divorced him. He doesn't want a relationship with us. He wants to just talk about himself and what is in it for him.
Yeah.
So going back to moving from Minnesota to Nebraska, he finally signed the day that we were supposed to close on our house. That night before, finally signed the paperwork. I gave up all back child support, which was close to $20,000, and all child support going forward so that we could move to Nebraska. And my husband said, Mellisa, you're never going to see that money anyway. He's going to fight tooth and nail to never pay it. And so I said, yep. So I had full physical and legal custody of the kids. The moment they turned 18, they changed their last name to my husband's last name, which is my last name. And that's who raised them. And so I'm working really hard to not have that generational trauma affect them and sweep anything under the rug.
Yep.
Those conversations with them.
Yeah. Good for you.
And my son is a weightlifter. He's a cross country star in Mississippi. And so the stuff that we go through, like the GLP-1s are helping.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Ketch says in the chat, she's realizing that her body insecurities may have contributed to her poor decisions in men. Always, for sure.
Amen. And it's that awareness, though. That awareness is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, right, Dawn? I've tried to write a book. I got 1 page down.
So fast forward to the love of your life and how these insecurities and the trauma and the drama and all the things have kind of seeped into this. And how have you done with it? How have you guys communicated? What have you done? Was there a rocky road, and what have you done to help each other out through this?
So I started reading a book series called Real Love by Dr. Greg Bear that talks about unconditional love. I went to a retreat in Phoenix in 2013 before I met my husband and focused on how do you really unconditionally love somebody, including yourself. And that's super important for all of us who have been through some of the same experiences that I've shared before. We were never unconditionally loved. Food was always a condition. Here's your reward. If you do this, you will get this. That is conditions. And so that was one thing that I started. And then when I had met my husband the week after that retreat, we met on christianmingle.com, and he called me and he's like, well, no wonder you're single, because I didn't know he was from Nebraska until he called me. Keep in mind, this was 2013. Our interwebs have really improved since then. Yeah. So I didn't know his location. And I said, I'm never going to date anybody in Nebraska. I'm never going to marry anybody in Nebraska. And I'm never going to live in Nebraska. And he's like, well, no wonder you're single. You're kind of mean. I'm like, why are you still talking to me then? So, like all the stuff, your protective stuff is coming out. And he said, well, can I call you sometime? Don't you ever just need a friend? I'm like, I have so many friends. I don't need another one. And he's like, oh, now it's a challenge. So he called me that night. We were on the phone for like 8 hours. I had to work in the morning. I was exhausted. And then every time he tried to come up to Fargo where I was living, there was a blizzard, even in April.
Right.
And so the roads would be closed at the South Dakota border, like boom. And so he would have to turn around. And finally, Easter, we had gone down to Omaha because I have a lot of family there and met. And he met my entire family. And he's like, oh, so now I understand more of you because I've met your entire family. Sweeping things under the rug. He saw it the first weekend. He's like, And then that Monday, Easter Monday, when I was coming back, I cried the whole way. And I'm like, why am I crying? I didn't cry over any of the affairs that, my first husband had. I didn't cry when I got divorced. Like, why am I crying? And I realized I did not want to leave because he made me feel so safe and special. And he was the first person who really lifted me up. Especially, you're going through divorce. You've got 2 littles, one on each hip. And so
you'd never experienced this kind of
never
love before from someone else. That should be what you have when you're married to somebody.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important. I'm looking at my notes and going, oh, change with your partner. Because remember that first moment that you felt safe with him or her. And then now you're getting attention from people at the gym who, quite honestly, are hot. They are very attractive. And you're like, what? But even though I'm so attracted to my husband, these hormones are going crazy inside. So you've got to traject them to where the roots of your marriage are or your relationship. And so, especially with someone so damaged as someone who's gone through all the stuff from age 4 on, you can put yourself in a pickle if you are not aware.
Yeah, you can lose the very thing that you've always wanted.
Yes. And regret it for the rest of your life.
Regret it for the rest of your life, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing, my daughter got engaged on Monday and...
well, congratulations.
Thanks. So we're super excited. He is a great Southern Mississippi boy and they've got a great life ahead of them. The one thing I did share with her, I said, the one thing I do regret, Maddie, is I couldn't wait to get married. I couldn't wait to have children. I couldn't wait to buy a house. You can wait. Do not rush anything. So when you're on here, AJ, and you're like, be patient, be patient. It's not be patient with the scale only. Be patient with what is to come. What is to come.
Amen.
Yeah. I think about when we were in Pass Christian this weekend on the Gulf and walking along the beach. When we got home, I looked at my husband and I said, I didn't huff and puff one time. When we first met, walking across just even Costco, like, holy Hannah, we'd be breaking out sweats and, it'd be the winter. It wouldn't even be 111 degrees. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing so much today. I know that wasn't easy. I know it's a lot. Thank you for being vulnerable here. Thank you for doing that with us, because I know all 120 of us in this chat are so thankful to hear your story and so amazed by you. And
thanks for letting me share it, because I'm excited to hear anyone else's story. And your story's been amazing. Sometimes I think we're twins.
I think there's a lot of us in here like that, right? And I think it's important to know that we're not alone in what we go through, and we can uplift each other through this community here. So if someone is feeling so discouraged today, regardless of how or what is your words of wisdom to someone if they're discouraged, whether it's not being able to afford the medication or not losing what they want to, or maybe their life is just not whatever. What is the one thing that you would tell them to help them?
Say it. Say that out loud. I am discouraged. can I share something with you? Yeah. It might be, DM somebody, come go in a chat in your group here and say, I'm discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to say it out loud, because once you say it out loud, you can receive so much.
Yeah, it's so true. We hold things in, right?
Mhm.
And
Because
it
we're
gives
supposed to be
us,
strong, right?
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Being strong is sharing it.
Yeah,
Being strong is sometimes even listening to somebody.
absolutely. That's the thing. It's like we don't have to have the right words. We don't have to have the perfect things to help people. We just need to be there to be a listening board and just to know if someone's going to listen to you, that's a good thing. You need that. You just need someone there to listen. And that's what we're trying to do here is just be here to listen. We may not have the exact things to tell you what to do or how to be or whatever, but we're just here to listen. And that is such a good thing, right? You're able to voice it. You're able to just communicate your thoughts to us today, Mellisa. And I know this is, I'm sure helped you too, just to hear it out
100%.
out loud.
Mm-hmm. And to see how many people that you can connect with. And like, remember in fourth grade how alone you felt when you couldn't get that milkshake, but Jason could?
Mm-hmm.
And going, I was in that same boat. Wow. I wasn't alone. And now you feel like you can connect, especially when somebody tells you you're the black sheep of the family for, 10, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Now I'm like, I am the black sheep of the family. Look at all of the stuff that I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Being the black sheep doesn't mean a bad thing. Let's change that trajectory of the meaning of that word.
Right.
I need to find my other black sheep.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And to Weighted Muslim's point in the chat, right? We're not saying that this is, the only thing here. Like you've been preaching to all of us about getting professional help, right?
Mhm.
Get your therapy, talk to someone, do that as well. But these community spaces here hold a really valuable space as well. Anything that you want to say at all that we didn't cover? Anything that you want to say at the end of this live today
I
about
just
your
keep
experience here?
going. And it's really day by day. The other note that I have is pictures, water and pictures. So water, super important. Hydration. Um, I really started seeing the results once I started hydrating my body, especially when I'm working out that much. I've always liked water. Now I love water. Those diet sodas, man, I could be a poster child on that billboard. But water is definitely something that's going to help you. But I take a picture every Friday, a side and a front, even if the scale is up, because you will notice things. And I share it with my husband and I said, they look exactly the same. And he'll point out areas. No, look at right under your waistline. You can see this is a little more curved than this. And that's what keeps me going. So find that one thing. Maybe it's not pictures. Maybe it is a person. Maybe it's a pair of pants. Maybe it's a bra.
Mm-hmm.
But find that one thing that is your motivation.
I love that. Thank you, Mellisa.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
So one last thing. What is one thing you're looking forward to in the future that you are excited about?
I always said I'm going to die when I am 75. And now I play pickleballers with 85-year-olds, and they are in better shape than some of those bodybuilders. And I'm like, what? Why? Why am I limiting myself to, I can't wait till life is over at 75? I feel like life is just beginning, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And I wake up every day going, what is today going to bring? And I have a really strong faith base and Bible study group, because I think that's all important, as well as therapy. And surround yourself with people that will lift you up. There are too many things in this world that are tearing us down. I mean, some people you're breaking down silos and they're right behind you, stacking those bricks back on you. That's why I don't talk to my family, my siblings, because it was constant tearing down.
Yeah.
And you need people to celebrate you. That's what, AJ, you are probably one of the most engagers on this platform that lift people up. This, when you come on and talk, it's not about you. You make it about everybody, and we can feel it. We can absolutely feel it.
Well, thank you. That's sweet. Thank you so much, Mellisa. I know
Thanks.
everyone in here is going to talk in the comments and praise you and love on you. And so thank you for coming on here. I appreciate that.